others so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Woo! Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together each week to talk about their favorite things. Nick, what episode is this?
Oh my God, Marcus, thank you so much for that rousing introduction. Wow, I've never been introduced so warmly and enthusiastically. Marcus, today's a special episode. You know why. They don't know why yet, but I'm going to say why right now. Today is the first Thursday of the month, which means it is our fan challenge episode of the month. Oh my God, what the hell does that mean, Marcus?
I'm applauding because what that means is our fans got together and gave us a challenge. And here's how that works. We started a Patreon because starting a podcast and doing a podcast, you may not know this, it's not free. You can't just do it. You have to pay money. And so in order to help out with some of the expenses of the podcast, we started a Patreon. And we have some beautiful and lovely people on there who help support the podcast and help keep it going. And each month, we give the $5 tiered patrons the opportunity to give us a challenge. And then we create a poll and everyone goes in and votes on which challenge they want to see. And then that is the challenge for the month.
And this month, the lucky winner, whose topic was chosen by multiple people in our voting Patreon, was Rianne414. They suggested for us to do one of their favorite films. But before we get to what that is, guys, thank you for coming in. Now Try This. We're your boys here, Nick and Marcus, come to you live and do the podcast. Go ahead and follow that Patreon, become part of the community, leave us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Truly, truly, it helps with the algorithm. And you can say whatever you want in there. You can just say hi. We love seeing them. We love reading them. Here's a 5-star review from Whiskey Neat Freak that said, "More, please. I love the topics you guys choose. It's like listening to my friends talk. It's great. 2 thumbs up." But very specifically, they're black hands that are thumbs up.
Nice.
And I needed to let you know that. Yeah. Without further ado. This week's challenge is the illustrious Academy Award-winning film from 1972's Cabaret.
Cabaret. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Marcus, I feel like we both have a lot to say. We really want to get into it.
That's presumptuous of you. I might have one thing to say. We don't know. We haven't gotten into it.
I think I was saying that because if you have nothing to say, I have so much to say.
Oh, that's good.
I have at least 2 pages of notes.
Wow.
That if you get stumped, I am here, ready, and willing to talk the whole entire time. As the longtime fans of our podcast know, if needed to, I could talk the whole time. But before we get to Cabaret, I want to check in with you. How are you doing? How are your holidays? Did you get what you wanted for Christmas? Did you just want love and braces and your 2 front tooth? I forget all the songs. But
it's weird because I spend a lot of time having anxiety about this podcast and what I'm gonna say in potential conversations. And I was thinking about this the other day because I was oh, if Nick asked me what am I doing, I can come up with a funny joke beforehand just so I can say something. And then I didn't because I had too much anxiety about that. But I'll answer earnestly. I had a good holiday.
The first rule of improv is to just be open and honest and earnest. So you're killing it.
I had a good vacation. I took off from work, so I got the opportunity to just kind of bum around at home. I played a lot of video games. My brother and I have a yearly contest. I think it's the 5th year now.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned this last podcast. What, give us the results. This is the official results of the yearly challenge between you and your brother because video games are so important to y'all. What are the final results?
I don't mean to rub this in his face, but this is the 5th year in a row that I have won the yearly video game challenge.
This is your goddamn podcast. Rub in whatever the fuck you want.
You son of a bitch, Matthew. You'll never win. I feel I never feel bad about it, but I always win by 1 or 2. And then this year was the first year that I felt bad because I texted him and we were talking. He sent his list first, and then I sent my list. And he was like,
Huh.
wow, that's crazy. Wow, I can't believe you always win by 1 or 2. And part of me was like, maybe I was reading into too much, but I was like, he's kind of mad. Maybe he
Well, because
thinks
it
I'm
seems like you're cheating, right?
I don't 100%. I get it. I understand, but I would never.
Marcus, I'm not going to put you on blast,
Uh-huh.
but if you sent me your results always second and you always won by 1 or 2, I would always assume, and you're
That's
also the
fair.
older brother, and you know how
Yeah, yeah,
older
yeah.
siblings, it's kind of your job to lie to your younger siblings about things in life.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah, yeah,
know?
just to keep them in line, to protect
Yeah.
them. You know,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, so
Did you just read the chat and then get
yeah,
distracted?
sorry. Yes. Yeah, the chat distracted me.
Hold on. When the chat says, I think it's weird to call your brother a son of a bitch, because then you aren't you. I am. Also, too, you could be different things. Come on.
Guys, Christmas just happened.
Christmas
Tempers
just
are
happens.
high.
Yeah.
You know, how about you don't come for Marcus and his family? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like maybe. Well, I'm glad you had a pretty good
How was
Christmas. That's
yours?
good.
How was your break?
Oh my god. Well, I mean, I didn't really have much of a break. Work's weird. We don't have to talk about that. But what I will say is on Christmas, I did something that was different than what I usually do. Marcus, you know how holidays are tough for me, okay? We'll leave it
Yeah.
at that. Holidays
Mhm.
are tough. They're usually reserved for moments of deep ennui that I experienced cuddled up in my bed the entire length of it. But this year, a new friend who only lives a couple blocks away invited me to their home for Christmas with 3 of their close friends. So I had a nice little, everyone was tested beforehand,
Mhm.
5-person little quarantined Christmas with different new people. And it could have been awful because I have high levels of depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And I told the friend that invited me this. I was like, "Listen, I don't know if I would have came to this if I had known everyone you were inviting to this was so funny and so attractive. I don't think that I would have came." But I did, and everyone was so sweet, and we played board games, and I made new friends, and it was really, really great. It was one of the best Christmases I've ever had, which seems
That's
kind
really
of sad
nice.
actually because it was so small and quaint and
But the,
unexciting. But
but that's, I mean, you've been away from home for a long time. So I feel like that's also a part of it. And your mom moved, and that all, like, it's hard
yeah,
to come
nobody's
together
home
for
anymore.
Christmas.
Nobody's
Yeah.
home. So
So
for anyone that doesn't know,
that
my
makes
whole
sense.
family moved to North Carolina when I moved to New York City. So there's besides Joseph, our third best friend who isn't on the podcast. And it never will be. No, actually he was a guest. Guys, go check out our
Mhm.
Alien Covenant episode. Besides him there's nothing back home. So that longing of a home has been a constant quest for me in New York City. And having you here has helped. Having our other group of friends has helped. But having situations like this where I feel welcomed into the city like that help a
Mhm.
lot.
That's awesome, man.
And that was my Christmas.
I'm glad you
All
had a
right.
good Christmas.
I think people are sick of hearing about us.
Yes.
Let's give them what did they really come here for?
They came here
for the
us talk about
1972
Cabaret.
film Cabaret.
This is that search engine optimization that I am always talking about. When you listen to business strategy podcasts, they always talk about make sure you're doing something relevant. And that's why we're doing
SEO.
this.
SEO, baby. I feel guilty. And I want to say this up top. I feel super, super guilty.
Uh-huh.
Because and I'm scared that this is going to happen a lot because I like more mainstream things than you.
Sure.
This is on my list to give you. all that Rian 414 did was not make me
Expedite
waste
the
one of my
process.
challenges to make you do something that I already love. So I will start with you. I want to know what you knew about this movie, what you felt going into it, what you knew beforehand, and what were you bringing with you when you first sat down to watch this film?
I'm going to explain the process, the journey that I went on. So
Okay,
I
I'm
want
ready.
you guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, and you're not joined, you're not a patron, I would recommend.
Oh, Marcus,
there are
I'm sorry.
2
We
tiers.
suck. Guys,
Hold on.
you can watch these live on Twitch
There
every
you go.
Thursday at 8 o'clock at twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
So if you're not watching live on Twitch, if you are not listening on Spotify, whatever you're doing, however you're listening right now, go on the Patreon. There's 2 tiers, the $1 tier and the $5 tier. The $5 tier lets you submit. The $1 tier lets you vote. And voting was interesting because I was on the edge of my seat because I was like, I don't want to
Roller
fucking watch
coaster.
Cabaret. Like with all of my power, I was like, I don't want to watch this movie. I considered cheating because I voted. I have voting power because I'm a $5 patron also.
Yeah.
So I was like, I voted for fucking not Cabaret. And
You
then
know what's funny? I also voted, but it was neck and neck between Cabaret and that other film.
yeah.
And this is stupid. And your girlfriend's submission had 0, so that's the one I voted for. Because
then
it
I
was
was
also
like-
legitimately my choice, but
Yeah. But then
It
I
was
was like,
funny.
but now try this. Also, like you can vote because you created the poll. And I was like,
Oh, really?
How
Oh,
can I get a second vote on the thing I want to do? But anyway, I didn't. I
How
let
funny.
it be fair. Okay. And now because of that, we ended up doing Cabaret. I didn't know
That's
anything
funny.
about this musical going into it. I felt like I was constantly, it was in the circle. Like you and I were both not music. Oh my God. You and I were both theater majors in college together. So
we know our fair share about theater and stuff. We're theater nerds. We
yeah.
are.
But somehow this just slipped through the cracks. And I've heard people talk about it a lot. But I feel like anytime certain people talk about how much they like something, it immediately makes me not want to enjoy it. And that happened a lot in college. I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, Cabaret, it's one of the greatest musicals ever made. And I'm like, okay, I don't believe you. So I'm just gonna assume it's not and not watch it.
I get it. No, I totally feel that way about so many things as well. You know, all the time, especially for musical theater stuff. Musical theater is so easy to get overrated because it's consumed by people that are very passionate about a lot of things. So they could
Mhm.
go see, and also seeing live shows is a different beast. You'll always love seeing something live way more than you will just listening to a cast recording or
Yeah.
people mentioning in a movie. Like for example, you know, I our friend Tizam, right? The musical Six, up his alley, right?
Mhm.
Everything about it, the woman empowerment, the R&B sensibilities of that show. That could be his favorite show in the world. But me just sitting there saying, "Hey T, this could be your favorite show in the world." He's never listened to it because he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
I get it. You know, I get
Yeah.
it.
But it's but you're right about seeing things live because I feel like I've seen a lot of live shows that I would
Brag.
I would rate as maybe like a 0 or like a 1 or 2, but because it was like free.
Are you speaking about King Kong on
Oh
Broadway?
yes, 100%. I've seen a lot of stinkers, and because of that, it's like I forgive them. It's live. It's a musical. I know how hard all the actors are working, and so I kind of give them like a bit of a pass.
There's so much talent on stage.
Yeah, but I don't have that same respect for movie musicals at all. I'm like, I'm watching from the comfort of my own home. If I don't like it, I'm gonna fucking say it. And that may or may not be how I feel about this musical.
Ooh,
We'll
I'm super
find
excited.
out.
I'm so excited. Before we get into just to forelabor the issue even longer for y'all. Now I will tell you my past with the film. So and this is a story because in high school, I was friends with Alicia Beatty and Ashley Waterman. They were fellow theater arts. They were fellow drama club nerds, right? And we all had like favorite musicals, and we decided to all spend like a Saturday watching just musicals the whole entire day. And we all were gonna bring one musical and show the other ones, right? I went first, and and guys, don't judge me for how uncultured I am and how little I know about movies and musicals at the time. But the one that I brought, because I didn't own that many DVDs, was High School Musical.
Fuck yeah.
They hadn't seen it, and I was like, "Oh, you guys gotta watch this film." And now now that I'm older, I now unequivocally just will let people know. Yes, I love High School Music.
Yeah, and your
It's
second favorite musical we did on the podcast, American Mall.
I don't know if it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies. But and then someone else, I think it was Ashley, was like, "Let's watch The Producers." Great. And then I think it was Alicia who said, "Let's watch Cabaret." And so I was 15, hanging out with two girls, you know, that of course I was like, "Oh, hanging out with two girls."
Mhm.
At one of their houses all day watch musicals, and I was and at the time I was open to anything, but I didn't have any preconceived notions of Cabaret. I was 15. I was like, I haven't been exposed to this at all. This is some old timey musical, whatever. Blew my mind. Completely blown away. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the girls did make burn me a CD with a bunch of songs, and one of the songs on there was Cabaret. So I
Uh-huh.
listened to that song a lot. But now I'm wondering if I like should have like read into the fact that she made me a mixtape
Oh, she did. I
and
mean,
like
maybe
I should have like done you know,
you could have had a
how life would have
love.
been different if Nick wasn't completely oblivious to how members of the opposite sex function. But that was my first time watching, and then ever since then, I've been in love with it. I actually, funnily enough, when I brought up Tizam, our other friend, I made him watch it just a couple months ago during quarantine because
Oh,
he was my
really?
quarantine buddy, and we watched tons of stuffs back and forth.
Mhm.
And Cabaret was one of the things I made him watch.
Really?
Love this film. Yeah.
Did watching Cabaret at a young age have any impact on you? Did you understand everything? Did you like
Yeah, oh, that's a great question. I think there's definitely some things that went over my head, some, but I think one of the beautiful things about this film, right, is it's and again, we're going to get into it, but it's allegorical and it's a satire, but those things, those metaphors aren't hidden. They're not hidden between like layers and layers of exterior knowledge or knowing other things. The only thing you have to know is this is Germany and Nazis are bad, right? And everybody knows that growing up, right? So watching this movie, I think the lessons that it has to teach are almost geniusly simple. And I think those things have stayed with me since forever. I think watching this movie that young just showed me that like what a movie could do, what theater could do, what meaning you could put behind everything, what editing could do, what dancing, what could do. I think saying something without saying the thing is the thing that this movie taught me. And I probably experienced it before having watched this movie, but I do remember that being hit in the head with it with this movie. Like I think it's sunk in to the point where now I understand what saying something without saying it means, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, set me up with how I do want to say before we get into it, I do want to give our audience a little bit of context. So we are recording this episode on the 7th. It
Mhm.
is a day after the 6th when the incidents at the Capitol have taken place. And while we're not political and we're not going to get into the minutia of anything. That's not who we are as podcasters. But there are themes of this movie that, while I don't think are triggering, do echo things that are happening now. And I think those things might come up. So I just need everyone to be prepared for that. And I want everyone to know that's maybe listening to this later knows where we are at
Yeah, yeah, instead of
having
being
just
like
watched this film and yeah. Oh, but these guys are like real downers. Like, just
yeah,
like
these guys
Cabaret's
are
such a good
weird
film.
bump. No, it's the day after people stormed the Capitol building in America. That's what
It's the
day
day
we're
after.
on. Well, I mean, I guess I could since you're talking about it, I will say one thing that I did have like
Please.
a weird realization about was that like the whole time during the movie, I was like, okay, like you should get out of Germany. If bad things are coming, please get out of Germany. Don't you see the signs? And then I'm like, fuck. Those same things are happening now. And someone could be saying that to me in the future and being like, you fucking idiot. Marcus, didn't you see the signs? Why didn't you leave when you had the chance? You know, like it's so easy to see things happening and be like, oh, you know what? It's not going to escalate. It's not going to get that bad. And then World War
Yeah.
II happens.
Or thinking they're one-off incidents that are against the norm, that they are independent of everything else happening. But movies like this show that that's not how it works.
Yeah, those people
History
just don't.
happens because time passes and things happen bit by
Those
bit.
people don't just disappear. You know, like once everything changes or whatever. Once they're no longer in power, like that's these things. Don't these people don't go away. Their opinions don't
Yeah.
change overnight.
So just a little backstory about Cabaret. Cabaret is based off a series of short stories that were then turned into a play, that were then turned into a musical, that were then turned into this movie, made by Kander and Ebb, also famous for writing the music and lyrics for Chicago, made this show. And the movie was directed by Bob
Mhm.
Fosse, who a lot of people know as a very famous dancing and theater director of the time when the film was created in the 70s, 60s and 70s. Marcus, so you sat down. I assume you watched this with Darren?
I
Or did
did
you watch it
watch
by
this
yourself?
with Darren. Shout out to
So okay.
Darren.
So yeah, shout out to Darren. One time, clap one time. I think so. I want you to set me up. We don't have to do this for the whole thing, but I want to hear everything you were thinking, like at this, like right. I want to get like I want to be in your head because this is why I would have wanted to give you this movie, right? Because this movie is so specific, right?
Yeah.
There's so many movies that are so broad, but this movie is so specific. I want you to sit me down with you. I want to be there with you. Set me up.
Okay. So I'm sitting down on the couch. Now, this couch we had to get specifically purchased for the space that we had. It's not the the couch of choice that I would have.
Is it the one behind you?
That is Darren's reading chair, but oh yeah, you can see the little bit of the couch there.
Guys, if you want the visual representation of this thrilling story that Mark is telling, you need to check us out, twitch.tv/now try this guest.
Now, this couch is made to fit a very specific space, so that way we can have walking space into the living room. And this couch does not fit me, a giant man, a very tall giant man.
How tall?
And a 6'3" and change, almost 6'4".
6'4" on Bumble.
6'4", yeah. 6'4". See, on the couch, it is not designed for comfort. And so I go into most movies being like, okay, I might have to adjust, but I want to try to settle in, find my comfort spot so I can enjoy this movie as much as possible. I sit down, I start the film, and I'm excited because it's a musical.
You're such a fancy boy.
And then it starts, it's going. I see Liza Minnelli, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't know why. I just hate her face so much. And then the movie continues, and I continue hating her. And she talks, and I hate her more. And as the film progresses, I just genuinely hate her after everything, the choices she makes, everything that she does, the sound of her voice, the way her face is shaped. I couldn't find a single thing I really liked about her.
Oh no.
It was frustrating.
One of the most iconic performances of the decade. This is not the place I wanted this podcast to start.
I tried looking. I was like, okay, what is she famous for? Like, I know Liza Minnelli. She must be famous for things.
This is what she's famous
for. I looked it up. She's famous for this and being Liza Minnelli. And I was like, that doesn't give me anything. I wanted her to be redeemed. I was like, you know what? Maybe she's in something, and like I can go watch that and see how
this
great
is the
she
thing.
is.
This is that thing.
No,
this
I
is
was
that thing that you're supposed to have.
I was watching the thing, and I was disappointed by it. So I was like, "Fuck! God damn it!" Upset. I'm sorry. Wow. Liza Minnelli is just not for me.
No, I mean, I want you. I feel like you want to move on for the topic because you don't want to like rag. But I want you to tell me why. Because I think she's such a specific personality, and she's such a specific iconic person, especially for this time period. Being the daughter of Judy Garland, one of the famous ingenues of the screen. Being famous for being a celebrity during this era of drugs and rock and roll. She grew up singing in nightclubs and doing. Nice fun fact, she was singing cabaret in nightclubs like years and years and years before they were ever going to make this movie. It was on her like iconic list of songs she sang, That's
cool.
Yeah.
I will.
But tell me, why, what is it? Let me guess.
Okay. Cool. I think you can guess why I hate her, and it's very simple.
Oh, now I'm not sure.
Okay, go ahead. No, guess. Go. I want to hear what you're going to say.
Well, I feel like the thing you have a problem with is everything about her is so put on. And not even just that she's big, because sometimes she's a little smaller, but everything she does seems like, I went to college with you. I know who you liked and who you didn't like. One of the biggest people you had problems with were inauthentic people, I feel like. I think you always gravitated to, which is why we're best friends. You always you gravitated away from the people that were putting on a bit, putting on a persona, putting on a thing like, and I think Liza as a person and Sally Bowles in this movie does that the whole entire time.
Yeah,
am I?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like she reminded me of so many people I just didn't like in theater school, and I was like, this movie reminds me of like a theater kids movie where it's like, this is made by theater people for theater people, and they're gonna quote it and sing it, but it's not for me. And I was like, it was kind of cringy. It was kind of like annoying at times. I think her character, just like you said, her being fake was just very off-putting for me, and I was like, she is incredibly annoying. But that's not to say that I didn't like the movie because of her. I just didn't like her character, and I feel
I get
like,
it. You're not judging. You're allowed to be honest about your feelings, though.
but part of me is also like, I cannot like a character, and that doesn't mean I don't dislike the actor, but I do also feel like you mentioned earlier, Liza Minnelli just is this person also.
Yeah. I think, but I hear what you're saying. I mean, because
Well,
now that
what
you're
did you
saying
think
it,
about
I
her?
usually agree. Yeah, I usually agree with you about things like this, right? I
Yeah,
usually agree with you about people like this. We usually dislike the same people. But I grew up with this film, so
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I'm able to separate it more. And also, as an actor myself, I think it does make things a little. I think this is always where we disagree, not disagree, where we like diverge paths about things.
yeah,
You see things from the back, and I see things from the front a little bit sometimes.
yeah.
Where I think
That's because I'm a
as an
mass man.
act, yeah, exactly. And I'm all about the boobies. I just said that on the internet. The the thing that I always contend with is sometimes I feel as an actor that I have to be like that. And sometimes it is true that I do have to be like that to get a part, to impress a crowd, to be charming in a situation that I'm meant to be charming in, I mean,
Yeah,
as an actor, I'm sure you can imagine, when I go into a situation just like into work at the restaurant
yeah,
or out in my daily life and people find out that I'm an actor, they turn to me and expect me to be charming.
yeah.
They
You have to.
expect me to be that thing.
Yeah, you have to be on in a way that I find annoying. Not like you
Yeah.
specifically, but like
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of actors, they are on and they're constantly like frustrating me to be. I don't like being around them. I
Yeah.
feel like in college, especially, like it was weird being a part of a major where I just disliked so many of my fellow students.
Because some people know how to, and I would say I'm one of these people. I mean, I'm sure I'm annoying sometimes, but some people have learned to make that put on a part of their genuine self. You know, that there's a sense of sincereness that comes across when they put on that stage presence thing that I
Mhm.
think some people do sometimes, and some people can't quite do. And I think it's different strokes for different folks, kind of thing. But I don't disagree with you. I understand why Liza would be off-putting. I feel like I used to find her more off-putting when I was younger,
Mhm.
but as I've gotten older, I put this film on such a pedestal of reverence that I kind of forgive a lot of those foibles, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But anyway, so there you are at the beginning of the film.
yeah. I made a chart of how much I hate this movie. You ready? Do you want to see it? Is it too early for bits?
No,
Here,
you
hold
can
on.
show me
I'll
the
hold it to
chart.
the camera.
Okay, I'll read it for everybody. Okay,
There you go.
so this is a chart. On the x-axis, there is time, and on the y-axis, there's hate. It is titled "How Much I Hate Cabaret," and it started okay. Now it started with a pretty low hate. It's still there at the beginning of
Uh-huh.
time, and then there's a steady increase. I would be curious to know what all the little dips are. I assume those are
Uh-huh.
probably the musical numbers, actually.
100%.
Yeah. So every time there's a musical number, it goes down a little bit in hate, but then as too much musical numbers go down, it goes back up. And then at the peak, which is off the scale by double, which is about the middle of the movie, is Dead Dog.
There you go. And
And
then
that's the
and
peak
it
of
tapers
hatred of
off.
the movie.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I didn't
Right.
want to see that dead dog. I saw it and I was like, why? No, thank you. I was having a
Well,
good
it's funny.
time.
It's funny because I feel like you're hitting on one of the main themes of this film where it's like there are supposed to be moments of enjoyment that distract you from the hate you're supposed to feel, right?
Yeah, for sure. I understand that, like you said earlier, I feel like the movie is not complex. The characters are not. I guess they can be a little complex. I feel like Brian's a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
bit complicated,
Yeah.
and he's trying to discover who he is. But I do feel like there is a sense of you are going to continue living your life, and the events around you are going to. They could be bad. There's bad things happening all the time, and you can choose to put blinders on and ignore all of it, and do your best to have a life of decadence, and focus on what you want instead of what's best for the world or what should be happening, which I feel like is very relevant to today. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to realize you're in an important moment when you're in it historically.
Mm. Mhm. Well, it's funny because right in what you're saying, and I'm sure you noticed it right at the beginning of the film and right at the end, is that mirror, right?
Mhm.
There's literally a mirror that is how the movie opens and closes, and there's a mirror at the cabaret that shows you as the audience. And nice fun fact, in the original Broadway in 1968, they also had a mirror, like on the stage, reflecting back at the audience for this same kind of reason. And you're
Oh,
supposed to realize that this film isn't being coy about the fact is like, no, 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 this is about you.
yeah. I think as I think Liza Minnelli was being extra to kind of just in the way that theater is, where everything is sort of heightened, and and,
Yeah,
and we are all responsible for doing things like this. We do this all the time. Like we ignore things and we like try to fight for the things that we want rather than like what's good, and we do things based on what we feel like we need versus what
yeah,
like actually matters. And in the moment, it's hard to figure these things out, and certain people have more privilege than others, and so they're able to like get those things, and some people who don't have those things then become driven by the need to get more, you know and then a magical man named Maximilian comes and just has sex with you and gives you a bunch of money. That's the end goal for everybody.
we're gonna get into Max. I want to talk way more about the Maximilian. Like you said, I think you hit the money on the nose.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. The movie is simple, right? And for a very specific reason. But there's so much to talk about here in terms of the themes and what's happening. And I think beautifully the movie gives us a really easy way to do it is we can just talk about each number, right? Because each
Yeah.
number is I mean the movie
The
is diegetic, right? When for people who don't know that stupid fucking pompous musical term is when the only music sung in the movie is actually happening in their world, right? There's
yeah.
not anybody breaking out into song because they're feeling feelings. All the songs except for one are sang by the MC and or Sally at the cabaret, you know?
Mhm.
So they're all paralleling what's happening in the movie. So the first opening number, Willkommen, Welcome, sang by Joel Grey, the MC. Another
He
fun
was
fact, he actually got the Tony for starring this role on Broadway and then
That's awesome.
did it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And
liked
got the Oscar for
he
this
was
role here.
he was creepy and weird, but I'm gonna admit there were certain musical numbers where I was like, I was laughing and I enjoyed it.
His job is hard, right? That job
It
is
is.
so hard. To
Mhm.
have to carry the whole show's to carry the
Message.
whole show's yeah, the message. I was thinking of a fancy word for message, but like the allegory, the whole show's allegory on his back singularly
Yeah.
as the whole showing on, while also being fun and funny and like a little creepy and you know what a guy.
What
You
a
know, I think everyone
performer.
can agree. Yeah,
I feel like
he's
it's
pretty
always
amazing.
hard for people to transition from stage to film, even within a
Yeah,
musical. Like I feel like in musical movies, they want to cast big names. I mean, Darren was just
yeah.
watching Les Mis while I was on the toilet, and I heard such terrible singing, and I've never seen the movie Les Mis, so I didn't know. But I heard terrible
Oh,
singing
hold on. I
coming
need to
from
add
the
something
living
to
room.
my challenge list really quick. One sec.
And I was like, Darren, are you watching a parody of Les Mis? And she was like, no, that's just Les Mis, the movie. And I was like, oh no, I didn't realize it was that bad. But I'm glad I didn't do
Yeah,
that here. I feel like it's good when you can bring talented people from Broadway
yeah.
into
It's funny. These people are
musicals.
super clearly like Broadway performers, you know, in
Yeah.
their level. But I think that probably comes from Fosse being the director, right?
Hmm.
He is very traditionally a theater director, a dancing theater guy, you know. I'm sure at the time it was like you can't direct a movie, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, just figuring out the cinematography alone is completely different from
Yeah,
figuring out stage direction. And the fact that he was able to do it, I feel like there were a lot. Like I was thinking about that while watching the movie. I realized that there were a lot of shots that I was like, "That's a good shot." Like I know he has other
yeah,
people working on the film, but like he still has say in it. And I feel like he was able to paint the picture and create the sort of aesthetic that he wanted to. in the film without really having any film knowledge, which was cool.
A lot of people say he's actually a little hard to work with because he's kind of an auteur. Like he's not a collaborator. Very famously, he's like, no, no, no. Your arm goes like this, and that's how it goes. You know,
He
which
has a
you
vision.
know is hey. I mean, this movie got 8 Academy Awards. Marcus, 8.
That's too many.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's impressive. You know, for all these people that are coming from the theater world. But then after this opening number of Willkommen, which is so cool, just in and of itself. I know it's like a cheesy, stupid thing to talk about as we're talking about all these big things, but just like having a song that's in like 3 languages, that's like going back and forth, it's just so fun and like
It is
Porky's
quintessential
cool and
musical theater to have a song that's like, "Come on in, we're gonna do the thing, watch the
right.
show." Yeah.
Yeah, but in and of itself, right? It's a parody almost of itself right away, right?
Mhm.
Because at that time, I'm sure you noticed right away is like this movie isn't about this cabaret. What's like it's very obvious. There's other things
Yeah,
happening.
we're gonna leave this place immediately, but then also revisit it when we need to.
But then we get Michael York's character Brian shows up on the train, and then we get the next musical number, which is Mein Herr. What'd you think of Mein Herr?
I don't
I
remember
mean,
it. I watched
it was
this
the chair dance. It was the
hours
chair
ago.
dance.
God, yeah, chair
It was the
dance.
chair
I
dance.
thought that one. The choreography I thought was great. I didn't like the song
That's why I
itself,
wanted to bring it
but
up.
I thought the
choreography.
choreography was really good.
I mean, I think something that I noticed almost right away from rewatching it is how amazing the choreography is. Right? Like I
Mhm.
know Bob Fosse, he's the choreo guy. That's his thing. He's
Yeah.
the dancing king of Broadway. Like I get it, but but it's like what you said earlier about other movie musicals. Dancing, anybody can dance, right? But the level of
I
you
disagree.
know what I mean. The level of dance that's happening in this movie is so distinctly different. And I was like studying the arm movements and the leg
Yeah.
placements, and I wasn't noticing anything I couldn't do myself. Like it wasn't like the to degree of athleticism that I needed to be on American Broadway ballet for 16
Yeah.
years, you know, but it was so precise and distinct and on purpose. Every little movement, it was just
It was a beautiful thing to watch. I
such a
feel like
distance from La La Land. And listen, I love that film. But Ryan Reynolds not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Gosling's arms are very famously not pointed the right way. Like if you watch, I'm sure you've seen the memes. Broadway and actor people very much make fun. Is like, okay, and this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how you did it.
I haven't seen
Here's the
it.
difference, Ryan. Here's the difference.
But I feel like the choreography in the movie is incredible, and I've seen a good amount of Broadway shows with very, very bad choreography.
Yeah,
Fucking Dear Evan Hansen has some of the worst choreography I've ever seen in my fucking life, and it is a very famous Broadway musical that
it
makes
won Best
a
Musical,
lot of
right?
money. Yep,
Yeah.
and it had just abysmal choreography. It was so bad.
Is it just like 1-2 stepping and little boxing? Like now my arm goes here.
100%.
Now my arm goes.
It was
here.
just like we're walking around, we're talking with our hands. This is a microphone. Like it was a lot of like miming, a lot of like
Yeah.
very simple steps, and I was like, I could do better than this, and
Yeah.
I suck at dancing. I have a 2-step, and that's it. But I feel like I could have choreographed something better than that.
Guys, Marcus is selling himself short. His 2-step is very nice. I like Marcus's 2-step.
Thank you.
And
It
this is
goes
coming
with
from a guy who
everything.
thinks he's an amazing dancer. Marcus's 2-step is nice. No, I know exactly what you're saying. I feel like I haven't seen you notice the difference when you watch In the Heights on Broadway
Mhm.
and when you watch, you know, something else that isn't as good.
Yeah.
Waitress, you know. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Waitress, great show, but the choreography is like mixing the bowl and then putting the bowl on the shelf. Like that's
It's
the bit.
beautiful. Yeah, no, I feel like for Dear Evan Hansen, the choreography was definitely an afterthought. And it was like, oh wait, people have to move when they sing. Fuck! God damn it!
But then as the show goes on, you get a couple iconic bits. You get the screaming under the train gag
That
that
was
now
cute.
has been in a million things, but you get to see it a long time ago here.
That was the first
I
time
don't know
I've
if it's
seen
the
anything.
originator.
Maybe, but I get it. We lived under a train for like a hot minute. I feel like there were definite times where my brother and I would do this thing where we just talk very loudly or mime that we are talking, and just the train's too loud, and that's what we did. We didn't scream.
Oh,
I didn't think to scream under the train.
that's cute.
You lived directly under the train.
It was hard.
This was
It
the
was
train.
hard.
This was your room. It was like every time.
And then another musical number that probably has actually the maybe the least allegorical stuff going on is maybe This Time. Probably one of the maybe besides Cabarets, one of the most. I mean, you've heard the song before.
It makes sense.
You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
and you're
I
like, I
feel
don't
like
know where. It's just one of those Broadway classics.
yeah, this song comes after her. So a little bit about the movie. At this point, Sally and Brian meet. They do the screaming thing on their train. Sally kisses Brian, and he's like, "Man, I don't like that." And then she's like, "Are you gay?" He's like, I've slept with like 3 women, and it hasn't gone well." And then she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then they have a little moment, and then they have sex. And during the sex, well, after the sex, I think it might be in between rounds. I don't know. They cut to Brian, and he's flexing to himself, and he's like, "What does he say? Doesn't
Do
my
I drive
body
you wild with desire?
doesn't my body drive you?" He's like, "Doesn't my body drive you wild with desire?" It's like,
I didn't write that down in my notes, but he does say that. Yes.
and I was like, "Oh my god, he's definitely gay." He's not like, "Doesn't your body drives me wild? You make me crazy, honey." He's like, "I am a specimen to be beheld by you," which was interesting. Made me
I
not like
think
him.
that's fair. I think Brian suffers from that very stereotypical, fuckboy that's in love with the manic pixie dream girl trope, right? That's in films
Mhm.
all the time and a lot of rom-coms always where it's like you're uninteresting and not a go-getter and there's a girl over there that's a go-getter, so being with her, that's your go-gettingness instead of you going and like living a life.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he suffers from that. But it's funny that you brought up Brian's sexuality because it's something that I was thinking about. I usually don't think about it too much, but this time I was more so than I usually do, where I've always kind of accepted that I've never thought to label, Brian and like what all that means like, until while preparing for this podcast, I watched a couple reviews of the movie and analyses, and one analysis, the guy spent 8 minutes talking about Brian's sexuality. So I was like, oh, I guess this isn't everything I have thought about, so let me think about
Yeah.
this. Where it's so interesting because I think your analysis of the movie is the one that they want you to have, but for whatever reason I never have that analysis because I always just think, I don't know, I it's just so funny to me because I think
I feel like it's fluid in a way that like it is not necessarily defined in the film in any way. So like if you want to see him as bisexual or just confused or maybe he's straight and like doesn't know what he necessarily wants, I feel like that's also a part of the movie too. The fact that like
maybe.
we maybe don't know what we want at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I think it's more on me that I always see these things. Whereas, I've always been, very sure of my own sexuality, but I've never had sex with a man. You know, while this movie kind of puts forth the notion that you know he doesn't know who he is because he hasn't experienced those things yet. Which is
Mhm.
just an interesting way to, and actually, I'm sure that most people do think about it that way, but it's just not a way that I think about it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think that helps put me in the mindset of someone who is, because I've never been confused about my sexuality.
Mhm.
I'm a cisgendered heterosexual male, and I've never thought about these things in a way that's been troublesome or confusing. So sometimes I think at my own fault, I brush them aside in a positive way. In a,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they love who they love, and I'm moving on with my life. But I actually don't too often take the time to sit in it and think about, oh, he's confused, and that's hard.
Yeah.
Because I always jump to the acceptance, right? I always
Mhm.
jump to, I accept you for who you are, for everything that you have, and that's the end of it. And I will hug
Yeah.
you and love you. I'm already at the end,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've always been really tolerant like that. I think it was my family's upbringing. My mom was very, open and honest with people.
Brag.
I know. It's
I've
it's
always
funny when
been
I was
tolerant.
it was funny because when I was 8 or 9 years old, I remember very distinctly. I went up to my mom and I said, "Hey, mom, would it be okay if I was gay? And she like paused for like really quick second and was like, no, that'd be completely fine. I was like, okay, I'm not. I was just making sure you're like a good person. And she was like, oh, okay. And like that's how it was between her and I. That's the way our empathy kind of translates
Yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
our view of the world. It really is that simple for
Yeah.
us.
I was just making sure.
So
We should have
go
more
ahead.
good person checks, just like as a thing. Be like, hey, just a test. Are you a good person?
I mean, maybe I didn't have to quantify my money like that, but I'm glad I did. I mean, I like the fact that we're always on the same page about things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this. About our openness and honestness with people. I think it helped. It was something we always had in common that I always really cherished. The fact that we were very accepting of everyone around us.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. I'm glad you brought it up because it's just something that I forget. I forget to check because I jump to the end result.
Hmm.
Without sitting with the fact that people have to come to those conclusions over sometimes a very long period of time,
I mean,
like the
everyone's
course of a movie.
own. Yeah, like the 2 hours and 4 minutes of this film. No, everyone's own journey is different. I do think that it
Yeah.
is interesting for this to not be so defined, and for him not to just be gay and not just have a label, and for
Yeah.
even their relationship to change and evolve. I also think that this movie's weirdly progressive for a 70s film. I guess there was a lot of experimenting going on at the time,
Sure.
so maybe it is proper and of the time. But it was interesting to
Yeah.
see
But
that.
it's a big movie. It went to the Oscars, won a bunch of awards. It's a big movie,
Yeah,
man.
this is a movie that was put in front of a lot of people, and there is a guy who's confused and just trying to figure himself out. A woman who's incredibly selfish and just like cares about fame and stardom more than anything else. And then this other guy ends up joining Maximilian. He joins their relationship, and they have like a little like polyamorous thing going on. And that was just so
Marcus,
interesting to see.
I want you to walk me through that because I know what it was like for me at 15 years
Uh-huh.
old. You're probably smarter than I was then. I will give you that. I will give you that. You are probably
Wow,
smarter
thank you.
now than I was. Very generous.
What a
Uh,
big compliment.
but at the time, I wasn't confused, but I think the movie wants you to think a certain thing, and I was thinking that thing until it told me that that wasn't true. Maybe you saw behind the curtain before that moment and were having your own inklings about the situation. But
Yeah.
I want you to walk me through like when Maximilian was introduced and how that relationship started to like be presented to us, what you were thinking about it and what you were feeling. Because
I
it's
don't
very specific. It's
Yeah,
very specific.
I don't remember the
It
exact like chronological order of this, but I do feel like Max was
it was
introduced
laundry,
and he immediately
vacation.
Max was introduced and immediately started hitting on Sally, and I was like, oh no. Brian and her just started their relationship. Whatever it is, they
Yeah.
need time to like feel it out and see what's
She
going
just sang the
on.
song. Maybe this time she's gonna be
Yeah,
happy.
she's very
Yeah.
optimistic. And then immediately
Yeah.
she fucks it up because she's like all over this guy. He has what she wants. He's in the
Yeah.
position that she wants to be in. She wants like money and success. And she idolizes that. And so she goes after him. And Brian just becomes a fucking third wheel in a very awkward way. And at first,
Yeah.
he is against Max, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm like these guys trying to get with my girl," which is
And she's like, "Don't worry about it. I know how to
yeah,
handle him."
yeah. And then what happens next is Max visits her while she's in bed with Brian.
So strange.
And now,
With champagne.
if another man shows up in my home that doesn't live there and comes to my bed, hands are gonna be thrown. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna show
fight.
up and see if you. I want to fight you. I'm gonna show up with some bottle of champagne just to see. I want to. Listen, Marcus. I
I
love
don't
you to
care
death. You're
what's
my best
going
friend,
on, but you
like,
don't belong in my
if you-
home
if
after
you-
certain hours. We're fighting.
If you-
That's it.
if
You
you
are an
never-
intruder.
If you've never thought for like a second, it's like I wonder if I could take Nick. I don't know if you'd be lying. Like I want to know. Like let's go.
You
I'm gonna
want
show
to,
up.
but that's not how you do it. Because that's when I'm like, if you want to win the fight, like you don't get me at my most dangerous. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in bed, comfy, cozy, that's when I'm dangerous. That's when I'm coming for you. I sleep aware of everything that's going on. You make a move, in my fucking personal bubble, like, oh man, you're gonna get fucked up. Sorry.
I don't want to call you out, but I feel like you would. I feel like the way it would actually happen is you would be more confused and like I feel like I'd be scared Darren would attack
Well, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. We have to see to find out.
me. You'd be like, Nick, what are you doing here? Like you
Yeah,
Nick?
100%. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, Nick, what are you doing? Why are you here in my home?
As I get clobbered in the fucking face by your girlfriend.
No, I think growing up in the Bronx with like people trying to break into your apartment, I feel like I'm on alert. Like I wake up pretty quickly. Like if something's going on, I'm like up and out of bed and like at the door to figure out what the fuck is happening.
I get that. I'm not that way. I'm the opposite. I hear something and my eyes open, but then like a child, they close and I get tighter and I get under my head. Like I can just will it away.
That's fair. I understand that method too.
Nobody find out where I live and break in. You will succeed. As I say, I think that there's literally a machete next to me.
Oh no, that's
I'll
good.
be
That's
fine.
handy. That's handy.
Yeah.
I have no weapons.
Unless they get to it first.
I have Salem. Hopefully
You don't
he
need no
scratches-
weapons. Okay,
Um,
sorry. So Maximilian shows up in their bed.
Yeah, he shows up in their bed. It was an awkward moment, but that is also the moment where I was like, oh, this dude wants to fuck them both. Like, it's not just for her. He's also there for him too. And then he tries to give him like a little gift, and you can like take that as, oh, maybe he's just trying to like make amends and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to move in a girl. We're good, bro. But I also took that as like, okay, he wants to fuck this guy. And then the
And then they
relationship.
have a late night party where they get drunk. And
Yes.
there's this weird.
There's a
drunk
lot of
thing
lingering
happening.
looks at one another. They're all just like getting really close. They all almost kiss. Their faces are all like this close to one another.
But from
And-
Brian, it's always almost like adversarial, right? A little bit, like a little
Yeah.
jealousy, like get off my business. You know?
Yeah. I mean, but then that makes so much sense. I was honestly hoping that the two of them got together and just left Sally alone and to be somewhere else entirely. And they would go run off and be together. But then
And
also,
then after that vacation, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say Max, I think, was a Nazi or something, because I was like, I don't like this guy. And then he runs away to Argentina, and I was like, great, get the fuck out of here.
I think he's just old guard rich in Germany. You know, like I
Mhm.
think the reason he ran away is because he realized, oh, the Nazis are taking over, and I'm old money.
Yeah, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
But then this is, I think, for me, this is always the moment of the movie that I always describe to other people where I'm like, you need to watch this movie. So after that vacation, they're supposed to go to Africa. He cancels with them on a letter, and Brian and Sally finally fight about Maximilian. And then it's the iconic scene where Brian says to Sally, as he's trying to salvage their relationship, screw Maximilian. And Sally says, I do. And then Brian says, so do I. Blew my mind.
It was
as a
pretty good.
15-year-old.
It was pretty good. I was like, damn,
It's,
I like
it's
that.
good.
That was a good
It's
moment.
good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And then they
And 'cause
both
you have
laugh
an
about it.
inkling-
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both laugh about it, and it's fine. And then she finds out she's pregnant,
Ugh.
and more happens. But Nick, I gotta interrupt the flow of this podcast. I'm sorry, because we have a quiz. It's game time.
Marcus, we can get right into it, but I need you to work on your segues. That was
No.
awful.
I will never work on the segue. Actually, I will work on the segue. Next episode, I'll have the fucking greatest segue of all time. Okay?
The next episode's mine. I give the quiz.
That's fine, but I'm still in control of the graphics on this end.
Okay.
So you
If-
can segue.
Marcus, if you can segue into my bit, I'll be super impressed.
That's how good I'm gonna be. I'm gonna segue into
Okay.
your bit. I was trying to think
But
of a
Marcus,
segue, but I was like, there's no time.
talking about preparing for what we don't know. Why don't we see what we do know in this quiz coming up?
Nice,
Nailed it.
nice.
Yes.
Good segue of the subject we were already on into the subject further ahead. I
Don't
like
take this
it.
away from me.
Okay, Nick, we have a quiz. This quiz was prepared for us both by the beautiful, the talented Darren, my girlfriend, because knew this isn't our challenge. You know, this came from the fans, so the quiz should also come from a fan. Is that weird to call your girlfriend a fan of your podcast?
No,
I don't know.
always do.
Okay.
Number one fan. If she doesn't come into the shot behind you with a t-shirt with one of our t-shirts that she had to make herself because we don't have t-shirts yet, she's
Not
messing
true
up.
fan. Not true fan.
Not a true fan. Not a true fan. True fans show up during the stream in t-shirts they made themselves.
Yeah, exactly. We're just now trying
Now I
this
feel like I
written
should have
in
said,
marker.
yeah, yeah.
On the shirt.
I feel like I should have set this up before and sent her a shirt. That would've been fun.
Okay, question number
But
one.
oh, sorry. Before
Oh,
you do
no,
that,
go ahead.
guys, as we're going through this, guys, if you have ideas for games and trivia and things you want to see us do, like we're always gonna do games and bits of things. But if there's things, oh, I would love to see the guys do this or that, or comment on this or do this, no matter how obscene or crazy it sounds, go ahead and leave 5 stars, write it in there so we can see it. Join the Patreon, send us a message. We are open to criticism, critiques, and ideas because we only have so many. All right,
Unless
let me
you-
just show you this quiz real quick.
But leave us 5 stars on iTunes, and
Also
you
leave
leave your
5 stars.
criticisms there. It's fine. Just don't do it in the star rating portion. Just do it in the written portion of it. Thank you.
It's weird. iTunes does this weird thing where we don't see it unless it's 5 stars.
Yeah,
We
that's
just-
weird. We don't get
Yeah.
notifications or anything.
It disappears.
Okay, number one. After Bob Fosse won an Oscar for directing Cabaret, he went on to direct and choreograph this Broadway hit in 1975. He was also meant to adapt a film for it, but he died a decade before this dream was realized.
Chicago?
Was it Chicago?
Wait, how does this work? Are we just both saying it? Like, oh, now
My
I
guess
feel like
is also
we're supposed to-
Chicago. Wow, that's weird.
No, hold on.
Let's
no,
look
you
at the
liar.
answer.
How do we? How are we supposed to like?
Well,
Who's
you
this quiz
think
for?
of
How does it work?
you shouldn't just blurt out your answer so I can steal it.
So I'm
First
wrong.
of
Got
all.
it. Got it. How do I fix it?
Have your answer, and then at the count of 3, we both say what we think.
But there's a delay.
Not for you and me. I have the
Okay,
answers
great.
here, so I know the answers. I mean, I don't know the
Okay.
answers, but I can click on them and find the answers. Okay?
Okay, do the countdown. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, Chicago.
Chicago.
Let's see the answer. Hold on, are you
Nailed it.
ready? The answer was Chicago. We both got it. It's tied up.
Nailed it. I'll keep track of the points.
In December of 2008, this musical was briefly the highest grossing film ever in the UK, beating out Titanic and getting beaten by Avatar the following year.
Okay. Listen, I love Darren. Before this stream, I privately, between you and I, said how much I'm glad that you're with her.
I
Because
can
of how much
confirm
like her.
this. Uh-huh.
What the fuck is the wording on this fucking question? I don't understand at all. Read it again and explain it to me, because I have no idea what she's telling you.
In December of 2008, this musical was briefly the highest grossing film ever in the UK, beating out Titanic.
So
And
it's
then
a
it got
2000
beaten by Avatar in 2009.
So it's a 2008 movie musical that we don't know
Yep.
if it was an adaptation or if it was a new movie.
Nope.
Why am I helping you?
Yeah, no, keep
in
going.
just the UK,
Uh-huh.
2008. We had just graduated high school in 2008.
Let's see. I was 18 and I would have been into a movie musical
I have my guess.
at the time.
I have my guess.
I can't
Yeah,
think
you would
of-
have been right about to go to college, about to excited to start your theater degree before you got all jaded by how stupid it actually was.
Oh man, I'm losing at this quiz. I feel Darren, I see you apologizing in the chat. Don't do
Darren,
it.
don't apologize. I'm doing
Don't
it big. You're
apologize.
wonderful and beautiful. You're stop.
Okay. Okay. I have my guess.
This movie's
But
sad, and I need to
I
find the
think
jokes
it's
where
I
I
think
can.
it's wrong. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I 100% know what it is. You'd be
2,
super impressed with me.
1. Les Mis.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma
Mamma Mia.
I said Mamma Mia. Le Mamma Mia.
No, you said-
That's what I said. I said,
You said
Le
Les Mis.
Mamma Mia.
Les Mis was like 2012.
I couldn't. We did Mamma Mia on the podcast. Let's see if it's Mamma Mia. It's Mamma Mia. Look at you, musical champ.
Mamma Mia. Here we go again. I'll sing the whole thing.
Oh,
My,
God.
my. How
Please
can I
don't.
resist? Yeah.
Please don't. Thank you. Okay, next question. Nick, you're gonna kill this game. I'm bad at this. My
Well,
mind
here's the
goes
thing.
blank.
I feel like but I feel like we're equally like it might seem like I have the advantage because I'm the actor,
Mhm.
but not everybody know this. You still do work in theaters behind the scenes, and you see way more shows than I do.
I do
Like,
see a
way
lot
more,
of
you know.
new shows.
So if there's contemporary stuff, you're way more. Someone in the chat just said they're in an ABBA cover band, and I say
Which-
hell yeah.
Yes, it's true.
What's the name of the band? That's what I want to know. What is the name?
Yeah, what's the
your
name of the
cover
band?
Put them in the chat.
While they're putting the name of the band in the chat, I'm gonna read the next question. This 2007 hit with its star ensemble cast was based on the 2002 Broadway show, which was based on the 1988 film, which had an original screenplay written and directed by John Waters.
Okay.
2007
Before
hit.
it was a joke, but Darren, I have no idea what that question was. Read it again, please.
Okay. It's a
But
2007
slower.
hit.
Yeah.
With its
17.
star ensemble cast was based on the 2002 Broadway show, which was based on the 1988 film, which had an original screenplay written and directed by John Waters.
Okay, I know what it is, but it was just.
Wait, you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is. But there were just so many numbers that I got thrown.
Okay, 2007 hit. Based on a 2002 Broadway show? I was 12. It's not Cats.
Oh, wait, hold on. I don't know what it is because Darren in the chat just quantified that these are all movie musicals.
Oh.
And now I need to think about it. Hold on. Wait, there's 3 dates. What are the 3 dates? So the first
2007, 2002.
7 is the movie.
Yes.
And then
2002 is the
2002
Broadway show. And
and then
1988 was a
1988
film. Is it
There's
Waitress?
a film that
No,
then
wait, no,
became-
why didn't say this?
It's not Waitress.
It's not
Waitress is
Waitress.
way newer. So it was a film and then a Broadway musical and then a Broadway musical film. I got it. I nailed it. I understand what it is. I know what it is.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I didn't
Marcus,
see
what's
the title.
name of this?
The name of the game is The Movie Musicals That Made Us.
Oh my god, great title there.
That would have helped us. Thank
Great
you.
title.
Also,
All right, I'm
why
ready.
is she
Go ahead,
calling me
Kyle.
out on my podcast? We're going to fight about this afterwards.
I already said she's the one.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
most
okay,
scared of.
okay. Movie musicals.
Is that helping?
2002
Movie
Broadway
musicals.
show based on 1988 film.
1988.
No movie musicals are coming to mind at all, and that is
you want
the
a hint?
truth. Yeah, hit me, bro.
The 1988 film stars Ricky Lake.
Oh, okay. Well, ready? It's gonna be my guess. Are you ready? It's
Yeah.
very good. 3, 2, 1.
Rent.
Hairspray?
No, I'm just kidding. It's Hairspray. It's Hairspray.
Okay. Thanks for the hint. That helped a lot. Yes, it was Hairspray.
Here's the thing. Now that I know that this is movie musicals, I know you are at a disadvantage because growing up, we didn't have cable. I was poor.
Uh-huh.
It's a common theme of the show.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did do was and this was at the time when I was first being introduced to Broadway and musicals and acting. I wanted to be an actor. I went out and bought every movie musical that like existed from the modern era during like high school and college. So the reason I know all that about Hairspray is because I went and bought that DVD the day it came out, and I was excited about it, and I watched every special feature.
That's pretty good.
So,
That's
you
fair.
might be at a disadvantage,
I am at a bit of a
Oh.
disadvantage, but we'll see.
and but I'll help you out. We'll get there.
Okay. This 1986 musical movie changed its ending from the source material after audiences
Got it.
reacted poorly during
Got it.
screeners.
Got it.
So viewers watching the stage production might be in for a shock if they've only seen the film.
Got it.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, you already
3.
have it too?
No, I don't know. I'm gonna guess. 3.
No, you can talk. Hold on.
No, I got
You
this.
can
I got
talk
this. I got this.
about- Okay.
Are you ready?
Alright.
All right. This one I
Confident,
want to
yeah.
just guess.
Okay.
3.
I feel like you
2.
don't think I don't know it. But
No,
I
I don't know. I probably don't know it. 3, 2, 1. Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta be.
Let's see. Yeah. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. That is. I mean, that is the one movie musical that I love so much.
That is your favorite. The
Okay.
fun fact, for the listeners, the different ending is basically the plants win and the world's over.
For the movie version, they actually have both endings filmed, and so you can watch both endings if you want to. But the city gets destroyed in the movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Both David Bowie and Mick Jagger were considered for the part eventually filmed by Tim Curry in this cult classic. Tim Curry has cited it as one of his favorite roles of his illustrious career. I know what this one is. Ready?
I know. I also know what it is, and I was trying to think of something funny to say about it.
Oh.
Let's see. So I saw this So I saw this show live freshman year of high school
Oh, really?
because the local college. Oh, maybe it wasn't freshman year. It was in high school though. I saw it in high school. The college was doing it. SUNY Fredonia was doing it,
Mhm.
and I was in a program that like took us to shows and stuff for poor people again. So it's funny because before we got to that freshman year of college, I saw a lot of our classmates in that show before we got there
Oh, that's
of
kind of
this
cool.
show. Yeah,
Um,
and we will say this show in three,
Wait, hold
two.
on. I have a story about this too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a creepy, weird uncle. I mean, shout out to him. He's great. I love him. He just came out of his room one day with a VHS and was like, I think you boys would like this movie. And then he gave it to my brother and I because we were just being annoying as fuck over summer break. And then he went back into his room and we were like, okay, sure. And we put it on and it was 3, 2,
Rock,
1, Rocky Horror Picture
Rocky Horror
Show.
Picture Show.
And it was yeah, it was interesting. I saw it like when I was a kid and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm having some weird feelings in my pants, but I like this.
I wish I saw it as a kid. I feel like I saw it. I bought the DVD not knowing what it was, and then I watched it and I was like, I don't know what this was. I didn't appreciate it till later.
That's fair. It's also hard to
The-
appreciate.
The movie version. I also saw the stage version first, and the stage
Mhm.
version slapped.
That's fair.
And then I
can
saw
see
the
that.
movie. I was like, oh, this isn't as good.
Yeah.
But it was just a random college production, so it is as good. I just, when you get
This-
a picture in
this-
your head of something.
The staged version of it also, I feel like, was pretty famous in our college because I remember seeing pictures of it for our entire college.
That's true. It was like kind
time.
of the gold standard while we were in
Yeah.
college of like what was possible.
Yeah.
8th grade is too young to have seen it. Drum bum 914.
Okay.
That is 13 years old.
What beloved classic from 1978 was the fourth highest grossing live action musical movie of all time, according to Box Office Mojo, with the top
That's-
3 being Disney remakes from the last 5 years. Beloved
That's like-
classic, 1978.
Darren just went from like 2 to 20 like that because this one barely all it really gives us as a quantifier
Is
of
the year.
what it is the year. so what wait, what's the answer to the last question?
The answer to the last question. Oh. Oh, this is hilarious. Hold on.
Were you wrong?
We were so guys listening at home and not watching at the stream. We were so confident. I don't know if you noticed. We just moved
We
on.
both took anecdotes. We both
both
made
were just
anecdotes
like,
before we
great.
looked at the answer.
100%. We moved on. We're done. But the answer was Muppets Treasure Island. It was not Rocky Horror Picture Show. We both got that wrong.
My God. Oh my God.
We've been
Oh.
fooled. I feel
We
like a
We both
idiot.
made anecdotes. We were
Oh
so
yes, we both talked
confident.
about it. We did it. We counted down at the same time. Um,
Oh
Oh
no.
no, I
They
feel
sing
so
in that movie?
embarrassed. They sing a lot. I saw it recently. They sing.
Oh,
Wow,
I wasn't a big Muppet guy. I've only seen most of the movies like once.
the trickery. How dare you?
She's so proud of herself. She is so she is grinning
She's
ear to ear
no,
in the
no,
other room.
I'm sure she is doing one of these.
Very much like Tim Curry in that film.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. I feel so defeated. I don't even want to move on. What was the next? It's 1978. Fourth highest grossing movie. Fourth highest. What was the fourth highest grossing movie in 1978? It was also a musical.
Yeah, pretty much.
78. Well, let's see. Cabaret came out in 72.
What was
What kind
the
of
other
movies
one?
came out in the 80s? Oh
Where's it?
God, I don't even have like a point of. Oh, I got the answer. Got it. I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for a guess.
I only have one musical that I know came out around that time.
I have a guess. I don't think it's right, but it's the only one I can think of that is even close to that, like 2 decades before and after.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Grease.
The Sound of Music. You're right. It's totally Grease. God damn it. Fuck.
Hold on.
It's
Let's
totally
see.
Grease.
Let's see.
Damn
Let's see. It was Grease.
So upset. I'm so upset. Now we're tied.
Nice.
I shouldn't have given you hairspray. I was so confident.
You did give me hairspray. I appreciate that. I wouldn't have got that one
And
without
now
you.
we're tied. I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
Okay.
Guys, some people there might. Here's the thing. For long-time listeners, we know how competitive Nick gets and how upset he gets when he doesn't win a game. For all the new people, this isn't a bit. I'm legit like there's like haha, oh I'm so mad. I'm like tied now. There's a fire in me that Marcus is maybe the only person in the world that knows how true it is. With how angry I am that I'm now not beating him and we are tied.
It's okay.
Please, there's a chance to win.
I
move on.
believe in you. I'm rooting for
Thanks,
you too,
Marcus.
Nick.
I need that.
Always.
I needed that.
Even
Oh,
against
see,
me.
guys, get one like that. Get you one like this.
Okay. Clint Eastwood directed the adaptation of this hit jukebox musical in 2014. However, it didn't do nearly as well on screen as it did on stage. It brought in about 10 million more than its budget and was a critical flop.
Fun fact, my new musical improv team. Guys, if you want to know when I'm doing musical improv on Twitch, I don't know, figure it out. But my new team, I think, is going to we might name our team after this.
2014 musical by Clint
Do you not know what
Eastwood?
this is?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, I thought it was so. I'm sorry, I was kind of dicky. I thought it was so obvious. I was like, oh, easy question.
Oh, no, I don't know. Oh, fuck.
You think when you have like non-holes in your knowledge, when you have knowledge about stuff, it's just like, yeah, everybody knows that.
That's fair. That's true. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I can't give you any clue.
3, 2, 1. La La
Jersey
Land?
Boys.
Jersey Boys.
La La Land.
I was like, I know he didn't direct La La Land, but that's the only musical I know that came out like recently.
In the
my
last
head.
decade.
Yeah.
Over the last 10 years, one movie musical has come out, and that's been La La Land because you loved it so much.
100%. Also, where is High School Musical in this question list? Because that's
fair.
the movie musical of choice.
That's fair. What's the answer, Marcus?
The answer is Jersey Boys.
Yeah, we're thinking about naming our team Jersey Girls, but with a U and the number 5.
Oh, really?
That's one of the things. Either that or Meryl right now.
Jersey
are the 2
Boys
choices.
with a U?
No, but Jersey Girls. But with a U and a 5.
Why?
I don't know. It's an improv team. Improv teams are stupid. I don't know. I hate all names that all. I know that my sense of humor is different than most people, and I like kind of bad things sometimes. But I've always hated every improv name that any team I've ever been on has ever come up with. Always, and I tell them. I let them know.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm starting a new podcast right now that Marcus knows about. The rest of you don't. You'll find out someday. But the name of the band in that everyone decided on, that everyone loved, hated it. And I had like a meeting with them. I was like, guys, I will only bring this up once. I set everyone down. And I was like, okay, I need to put this out there. I need to let you know how much I hate this and why I hate this. But if everyone outvotes me, I'll never bring it up again.
Yeah.
And no one agreed with me. But I spent 5 minutes explaining why it was a bad name.
Okay. In 2004, Gwen Stefani sang a version of a song from this 1971 film adaptation on her debut album. Are you ready?
Are we answering the musical it's from or the name of the song?
The musical. The movie musical.
Great. Are you that confident? You just like went right at the question. You know this one?
Yeah, I know this one.
I mean, you were
I've
very
seen the show
in high school in 2004.
If I'm right, I think we did this on the podcast, so we'll see.
Guys, I don't know if this is correct, but nice little sweet story. No, actually, we'll do the name first in case I need to.
Because in case we're wrong again, like last time we fucking embarrassed ourselves.
That's kind of why I wanted to do it, but let's find out the answer.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Fiddler on the Roof. Okay, let's look.
If I Was a Rich Girl. No.
Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof.
Guys, this is my favorite movie. It's one of the reasons why I'm an actor. Whole Big Stories. Go check out our old episode on Fiddler on the Roof. The Marcus very nicely watched my favorite movie with me. But nice little fun fact. For my birthday one year, Marcus took me to see the Broadway revival, and it's one of the best things I've seen on Broadway, and it was such a wonderful day, and I still have my t-shirt, and it was really wonderful. And thank you for that, Marcus.
What a great friend I am. Wow. I'm glad. It was in Yiddish too, like the whole thing, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot because it was so well acted.
Yeah, it was, like, and they integrated the subtitles really well into the show. So like I also like without taking the second step to like really think about it, I always forget that it was in another language entirely, which is kind of cool.
Marcus, can I tell you something? I'm a little paranoid. You want to know why?
Why?
I need everyone on the podcast to know that because I've said sweet things about you every new episode of this podcast so far about how amazing
Uh-huh.
you are. Guys,
Uh-huh.
I'm also very sweet, but Marcus just isn't a sap like me and shares them all the time. I need you all to know that. I'm also very sweet and I'm a good person and a good friend. It's just I'm a sap and I want to make everyone cry all the time. And Marcus isn't a
Uh-huh.
dope like me.
Oh yeah, that's
That's
what it
all.
is. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I like to make Nick squirm.
This is very true.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's weird to just bring up something nice that you did for me, like immediately after you say something nice.
No, I know.
It'll come naturally, I promise. Keep listening to
I wasn't saying it like you
episodes.
need to. Honestly, it'll probably be better if you just never do. It'll be better for the like brand of the podcast.
Okay. In 1952, this 1952 movie musical
Good year.
had a quiet release, but is now ranked in many lists of the greatest films of all time.
Had a quiet release? What does
I
that mean?
I don't know. It's 1952. I don't know what musicals came out other than maybe one that
I
I'm
know
gonna
a
guess.
lot, but they're all those like it's that era where they were making a million movie musicals. It's
Yeah,
like the Gene
and all of
Kelly
them
era.
had fucking tap dancing in them.
They're all good, but I don't know them.
Had a quiet.
All right,
release.
I mean,
Okay.
I guess one of those. I'll be shooting in the dark.
Yeah, me too. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Singing.
Singing in the rain?
I think so. Yeah, singing in the rain.
Wow! Look at us trusting our
that.
instincts.
Oh my
That's so
god.
funny. I almost said funny girl, but then I was like, no, everyone liked that.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like a big deal.
Yeah, you almost said funny girl, and then I said singing in the rain first, and you just copied me. Hey, I see how it is. I see how it is.
It's funny
I
because from
see
your
through your
perspective with the delay,
plan.
that is what happened.
Okay, there's one more question that I skipped, and I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
You ready?
Right now, it's 7 points me, 6 points you. So you
Oh,
could tie this up,
no.
Marcus. Yeah, pressure's on.
Which one did I skip?
Ooh, hold
Okay,
on. Let's
okay.
give let's hold on. Let's give the winner of maybe I should have done this earlier when before it was obvious that I was gonna win. Never mind. I was gonna say the winner should like get something on the podcast, like a like a like a like a 1 minute, the other one has to like do something or like a thing. Do you have like an idea?
Fair, but on this podcast we do have skips and substitutions that we have famously done and have been some very interesting episodes of the podcast. And I feel like we still have them. We just need to figure out the technology behind it.
Yeah,
But-
for those
but-
of you who are new to the podcast, once a year, each of us get one skip if we really don't like the challenge. Very famously, Marcus never uses his on me because he's scared of all the things I'm waiting in the wings with, and I've used mine a couple times on him. And then we also have a substitution jutsu where we sub ourselves out of the podcast and put in another person to
Mhm.
experience. Very famously, Andrew, our friend, came and did Gone with the Wind with me. And Fault in Our Stars, Marcus put a pretty girl in front of me, and you get to listen to me squirm for an
Yeah,
hour
that
and
was
a half.
you read her your poetry, and that is honestly one of the most iconic moments of the podcast for me, and I wasn't a part of it.
It was magical. I am so proud of that. Like I came up with that game before you substituted,
Mhm.
truly, and the fact that it worked out that way, I'm so happy.
Okay, last
Okay,
one.
Last question.
This
ready.
big budget musical was one of the first ever to record the songs on set along with the film, rather than in the studio months in advance for the actors to lip sync with.
That's it? No year or anything? I
Nope.
feel like this is a gross disadvantage for you. I know the answer right away.
I think I know the answer
Oh.
because I remember
someone
this
is being
fact about
tricked.
this movie.
You've never seen this movie. I know you haven't.
I know that I haven't seen this movie, and the fact that you said that probably confirms that it's the same movie.
Or maybe I'm trying to throw you off to make sure that I double win. I'm already gonna
Double
win.
it. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Les
Les
Mis.
Mis. Beautiful. Is it
Nice.
Les Mis?
Yeah.
Les
maybe we should check.
Mis. Okay, it is Les Mis.
All right. I am the winner with 8, but you are one behind me with 7. You did not too shabby, my friend.
Thank you, thank you. I one behind is not bad.
All right, Darren, let me know what I win in the chat.
Thanks, Darren, for doing that quiz. I'm so
Yeah, shout
excited
out.
to see the quizzes in the future. I'm excited for the next one too. I'm working on stuff. make it a little bit more official, make it a little bit more classy for the viewers. Watch it on Twitch.
Oh, and I do want people to know that Darren said that we win a much harder game next time.
That was hard for me. I mean, like I got 7 out of 10, which isn't bad, but I didn't do.
It's not up to
incredible.
Marcus's usual standards.
I'm an A+ kind of boy. You know what I'm saying? A+ standard in everything. Back. Okay. Here. Oh wait, no. Hold on. Are you ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nick, why don't you segue us back into the episode?
Marcus, I would segue us back into the podcast, but my apathy going in to knowing what we were already talking about is just like the apathy of the German people in Cabaret.
Oh,
man.
nice.
So
I am pregnant with anticipation to continue the episode, like Liza Minnelli was pregnant with an actual living thing. There you go. Was that a good segue?
wow. You were so close to nailing it that it's almost sad.
I honestly live my life being close to nailing it, you know? And that's where I like to ride. I like to ride that fine line.
So, in the film, and we've been skirting over it a little, but I do want to talk about the Jewishness of it all. So, throughout the film, in little bits and spurts, as we're talking about the story, there were all these little moments, and they're always so small and almost just background matter of a Nazi going into the cabaret for the first time and getting kicked out,
Mhm.
but then going and beating up that guy later, and then another guy yelling at the Nazis later and getting beat up, and then Brian going and yelling at the Nazis, getting beat up himself. And then it leads all the way up to this moment, which is right before the Screw Maximilian moment, when it's the only song that wasn't sung at the cabaret, Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Marcus,
Yes.
what were your feelings when this little blonde boy, while they were sitting in the park, started singing this beautiful song, this beautiful ballad about their country, and like he looked like a Boy Scout or something. And it's like, oh, cute. It's like the boy like singing like
Yeah.
about the world.
I hope this doesn't make people think that I'm racist, but this was my favorite song for like a minute until the camera continued to pan down to reveal
So
more
genius,
about the
right?
kid. It was so well shot. And this is part of the cinematography that I was talking about. That I was like, oh wow, like that really worked. Like the camera is at first zoomed in on this boy's face, and he's like a cute blonde kid. He's singing this beautiful song. You're like, okay. I was like, I mean, I made the comment that there's a lot of blonde people in this movie, and then I was like, oh wait, Nazis, I forgot. And then slowly pans down, and you see that he's wearing a swastika and that he is a Nazi. And
He's a 15-year-old boy, full Nazi regalia.
yeah, and at first the crowd kind of is looking at him like, who the fuck is this kid? And then they all join in song, and it kind of shows like the mentality of the people at the time, and they're all singing about how beautiful Germany is, but like this Nazi kid is leading the chorus. And then Brian looks over at Max, and he's like, you still think that this is all gonna just blow over and the Nazis will just go away? You know, like the Germans
And he
will be
doesn't
able
have
to
a response?
control Nazis. Yeah, he doesn't have a response, and he fucking leaves. I think soon after that, he fucking bails.
Yeah, after that actually is when he like moves to Argentina or some shit.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it was
I think you said it beautifully. This moment is probably I mean, the whole film is so good, but this moment, like, it gets you because who doesn't love like an innocent kid singing a beautiful song? It sounds like a Sound of Music song, you know. It sounds like
yeah.
we're singing about your. It sounds like Edelweiss or some shit. It sounds just like this wonderful America the Beautiful, you know, or
Mhm.
something. So you know, the subtext of this moment for galvanizing people against a national message is so. This was the whole time I felt like it was kind of hard to watch this movie because I knew the subtext of everything.
Yeah.
But like this moment, looking at what's happening right now, where people are literally all wearing hats, like they wear hats with a symbology on them that's with red, and "Make America Great Again" it sounds just like "Tomorrow Belongs to Me."
Yeah, no, it
I've
was
seen there is no difference, and
yeah,
it's wild.
it was a scary moment, and it just I think that's the moment that I was like me constantly saying, "Oh fuck, just leave" to everybody in this film because I know what's happening, that I realized, like I said earlier, I was like, "Oh shit, we're kind of in a similar situation. You can't leave. You can't just go away. You don't know what's coming next." And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's just fucking scary to think
And the way they
about
do
and to
it,
live
one by
in.
one, the people are just kind of joining in, and then it starts with the younger people because younger people are easier to
Yeah.
indoctrinate, all the way up until there's just one lone old Jewish man sitting at a table by himself, looking around him, and like your heart dies for that man who's sitting there, wondering what he's gonna do and where he's gonna go.
It's so interesting watching this movie with everything that's going on because I feel like
Yeah,
it's more relevant than if I just watched it in a vacuum or if I just watched it like with even just like a few, I don't know, half a decade ago or whatever, you know?
yeah. It's funny, as I was doing research for the show, a couple different articles were talking about Alan Cumming, who very famously did the Cabaret revival
Mhm.
in the 90s and then again in the 2000s. Who I'm sure you can imagine as the MC doing an amazing job, as everyone says,
Yeah.
because he's an amazing performer. But in these interviews of those performances, him saying it, Joel Grey saying it, and another time in the 80s when they revived it, and then in the 2000s, and another time when someone else revived it, everything that all these performers and directors and people who were staging the show were saying was how the audience kept saying things like, "Oh, you added that in the show because of what's happening now." It's not just now, it's just the testament to how wonderful this movie is, where
Yeah.
during the civil rights movement, during Vietnam, like this movie came out during Vietnam, and a lot of people at the time were like, "Oh, this is an allegory for Vietnam and stuff." It's just so correct in its observation of how
Yeah.
this works. So many people think that it's so simple because it's like Nazis are evil, and I'm not
Mhm.
here to dispute that. That is a very true fact. But the reason why it's so different than a regular just evil person is because the way they're able to indoctrinate and influence normal people. Now, was every single person in Germany in the 30s and 40s evil? Every single one? No. There were some people that were and took advantage of the situation, but some people were just people that wanted better lives, and somebody offered that to them, and they went along with it.
Yeah.
And wanting that happiness, they kept those blinders on and didn't see those things around them, which is what this movie's trying to show. It's like you need to look.
Yeah.
What is the cost of ignorance?
I get that. I feel like at the time, like in between World War One and Two, Germany was falling under hard times. Like
Yeah.
they all of the countries got together after World War Two in an attempt to prevent a second World
World War One.
War. I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
World War One, yeah, and it's an attempt to prevent a second World War. They got together and they were like, okay, they put all these harsh like tariffs on Germany, and they like really fucked them over in a way that like caused them to one be angry at the rest of the world and two not be able to build themselves up again and not be able to move on from World War One.
Yeah.
And so that led to a lot of hate, a lot of built on rage, and I feel like there is a group of people in America that have a similar feeling. They feel like they just have all of this pent up rage and anger and they don't know where to target it. And Trump is pointing them in a direction. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's sad to see similar things happening in America right now.
It's funny because I actually kind of get mad at people getting mad at these people a little bit. Like my empathy meter is a little too high sometimes where I'm like, yes, they're probably racist and they're probably awful and they're probably not a lot of good things, but the reason they're there, the like fundamental reason is one that is very very human. And the reason that this has happened to the way it has is someone has preyed on that vulnerability. Someone has preyed on their despair. Reason people are racist, yeah, sometimes they just don't like the way people look, but but a lot of it, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not a political theorist, but from my own observation, most of the reason why a lot of people are racist in a movement is because things aren't good and someone said that if we blame these people, things will be better. I don't know if you've ever seen The Big Short. Have you seen that
No,
movie
I
with Steve
haven't seen
Carell,
it.
Brad Pitt? In the end of the movie, it's a really good movie, but in the end of the movie, it's about the housing crisis, about the
Mhm.
housing bubble. And Steve Carell's character says this really smart thing where it's the housing bubble happened and everything burst, right? And then Obama helped fix things, right? And then the banks went and started to do the same things exactly the same way again. And he says something where, another character says something like, people are going to hold these people accountable. And then he says, no, no, they're not. They're going to find a scapegoat. They're going to blame poor people. They're going to blame ignorance. They're going to blame minorities. It's the people at the top blaming these people, and everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, it's this it's this indoctrinating language that has been so prevalent for decades and decades and decades
I
that
mean,
is like
yeah, famously
pulls."
Hitler was like, "Hey, here are the Jews. Here's a
Yeah,
scapegoat." And
yeah,
yes, that is exactly what happened in Germany, and
yeah.
it is the same thing happening now. I feel like they're
Yeah.
pointing the scapegoat now are minorities, Mexicans, and Black Lives Matter movement, and
Yeah.
just like
I've heard the word Antifa used so much more on the right talking about what's happening on the left than the left ever talks about it. Like Antifa is such a small collection of a small amount of people that might not be going about this the right way. But but that word, I've heard it so because for better or worse, I always try to make sure to watch things from the right and the left.
yeah.
I probably watch a lot more Fox News than all of than you and all of our friends, because the way I need to look at everything is in a you know global realm. And I think because I watch those things is why I think I'm even farther than the left and all of our friends than a lot of them are.
But Nick, I mean,
But
Fox
because
News is not even right,
yeah,
enough
I know
anymore.
it's Newsweek and it's yeah.
Yeah,
But you know
you
what
got
I
to
mean.
move on
You
from
know what I
that.
mean.
They're too
Uh,
liberal, Fox News.
but the amount the word Antifa comes out of their mouths is crazy with how much power they actually have. You know.
Yeah. It's amazing
Anyway,
that the people in power are trying to tell people without power that this other enfranchised group they're the enemy instead of
yeah,
looking to the people with power and seek what they're doing with it.
yeah. And I can't help. I almost said this to our friends, but I decided I didn't want to say anything in the group chat until after we had this podcast. Is I think the thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on this because I don't want to get any more political. But and you can say more if you'd like. But for me, the thing about this situation that has me the most upset, because obviously there's a lot of things to be upset about. The situation of the Capitol, the way people are treated, aren't treated, the juxtaposition between these people and other kinds of protests, all things to be outraged about. But the thing that outrages me the most is how jovial and happy these invaders are that have invaded the Capitol. And all the pictures and all the videos, they mostly have smiles and they look happy and they look okay with everything happening. A real movement when something happens that's awful, and when the Boston Tea Party happened, when the massacre that started the Civil War, when all these things happened, those people didn't look happy. It's because an insurrection happens because of how angry you are, and these people look like they're hanging out at the local Columbus Club. Like they don't look they
Yeah,
don't
they don't look scared. They don't have the same sort
they
of
don't look
like
scared, they
fighting
don't look
against
outraged.
the power.
Yeah,
They are not scared of the police. They're not worried about anything. It's because they are privileged and they know that they can walk
yeah,
right into the Capitol building and like they're not going to be fucking murdered in hundreds, and like I feel like if anyone else did this there would be piles and piles of dead bodies everywhere, and it's upsetting, and
this
part of
it's
me,
this faux outrage that got that's what I mean, like that
yeah.
this faux, not real thing that they're like at.
What are they doing? They're
Anyway,
showing up, they're going into Congress, and they're like, I mean, they're breaking into the Capitol building, and they're just like, hey, who are they going after? They're the ones in power right now. Like, it's just so confusing and mind-boggling, and part of me was gonna say like this isn't a political podcast and like we don't know what we're talking about, but fuck that, we're Americans and we live in this country, we can have an opinion on this shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever.
if anybody that comes over and listens to our cabaret episode and finds this little nugget of what we feel politically and wants to know more, let us know. We have way more to say.
It's a
but
fucking musical with Nazis in it, and we have Nazis in real life. It's fine. We are allowed to talk about it. It doesn't matter.
but the point I was making with that faux outrage is I think this it's just crazy how this movie nails what the whole conceit of the movie, right? Is life happens when you're too busy at the cabaret, right? Like that's the
Mhm.
conceit of the movie. When if you're not watching the things around you, you're only watching the things on stage, the sensationalism, the nice things. You go watch the Marvel movies, you go watch the fun things, you go watch that kind of stuff. Everything's gonna happen around you. And the way that these people are in the audience is so much so how these people are that watching this movie was tough.
It was tough.
Especially the end.
Yeah.
Especially
It was
the
also
end.
scary too, because I feel like it was like when you turn up the water on a frog and you like make it hotter little by little, it just felt like that's what was happening in the
Oh yeah,
film. Like things were just
that's a
happening
great
little by
analogy.
little, and then we just didn't realize until it was too late. Um, and I feel like it's just so hard to watch the film and then also see things going on currently in news that reflect the same shit. And I'm scared now too. I'm like, oh fuck, am I missing? Should I go? I don't. Am I not seeing that we are currently a part of something that's gonna be much worse soon?
Oh, I think you totally hit why I've been so anxious because that feeling of do we need to go now somewhere to do something, right?
Yeah,
Because I I'm not an activist or anything, but if I need to go somewhere to do something for my freedom or for my
yeah,
country or I'm prepared to do it. And this feeling has been the closest in my lifetime where I felt like I've been like when 9/11 happened, I was like, oh, maybe I'll join the army, blah blah blah. But this is the first time where I felt like as a person, I might need to go somewhere to do something about my freedom and about the country. And that's scary because I'm just a guy who can't afford his rent, living in New York City during a pandemic, who, you know, doesn't have a lead on a good job. Who am I? I'm nobody.
but you're
And I might
Nick.
have to pick up my machete and go to DC. Like what have we this is crazy.
It's because terrorists have attacked, and you are an American. We have it drilled in our head that we are against terrorism, and yet somehow we are doing it, and news outlets are uh,
Well, it's worse
trying to
because the
label
terrorists
it
are
as
us.
anything else but terrorism. Hey, it's fine.
Yeah.
Terrorists come from everywhere.
Yeah. But I think that's why I've been it's been so tough. That feeling. I've never experienced that feeling before. I've never it's new. It's different. I've never been so emblazoned to feel like that might happen. Because nothing happens on our side of the country. When we start wars, they always start over there. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should join the army and like help my country out. And then I decide against it because I'm trying to be an actor.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of what was happening in Cabaret.
Yeah.
She was like, I could have this baby, but I do want to become an actor. So let's
See,
not do
that's a
that.
segue to get us back to the movie. So after we find out about all of that, Sally reveals that she's pregnant. Brian asks whose isn't. She's like, I don't know. But then Brian proposes because he's the ever nice guy, right?
Mhm.
But then you can see him grappling, and they seem like happy for like a second as they're like drinking and
Yeah,
smoking way too much for a
they're
pregnant
they're
lady.
they're
And
yeah, they're enjoying the fantasy of the possible future that they have together.
but the reality sets in like really fast. I'm actually happy about the movie. I think the only thing wrong with the movie is maybe how long it is. But there are moments like this where it's like it gets to the point. It doesn't do a honeymoon phase for an hour. It's like there's 10 minutes left in the movie, and then it's like very apparent. Oh, they're unhappy. So she sells her fur coat and gets an abortion
Yeah.
by herself without telling anybody.
Which honestly, I felt like one was one of the most selfless things that this very selfish character did, because she knew what kind of parent she was going to be, and she knew what was best for the kid,
Yeah,
and she didn't want that. She didn't want to
and she
be.
saw she was Brian was feeling trapped and like not. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, it
she just
was
did.
really
She had
interesting.
that like vision of her on the stairs with the baby, just kind of ignoring it. And I feel like she will always come first, you know. And then
Yeah,
she was kind enough to realize that and also like do something about it.
and then after that is the iconic song of the show, Cabaret. where in the song she's talking about basically how she's made a decision in her life, like that woman in Chelsea, to live her life to the fullest and burn the candle at both ends because life is short and uh and you don't know what's coming for you, so you might as well make the most of what you have,
Mhm.
and almost saying out loud, I'm okay dying early as long as I die great, which is crazy
It's gangster as
viewpoint
fuck.
to have. Yeah. But
That's
it's
how you
really
gotta do
interesting
it.
that's the that's where Sally ends up, you know?
Yeah. I feel like Sally I'm almost like proud of her, I guess, for going through this sort of little character arc and knowing what she wants more than anything and that knowing who she is as a person because I feel like that's one of the hardest things to do. It's hard to know what you want, what you need. And that's in a lot of ways what this musical was about, like trying to navigate that as a human being and also have the world going to shit around you.
Yeah, the only other thing we didn't talk about was Fritz and Natalia. And just really quick about that is, Natalia was Jewish, Fritz wasn't. Fritz courted her and then revealed he was lying about being Jewish, and then came out to everybody as being Jewish so they could get married. But the only reason I bring it up is because of the musical number "If You Could See Her Through My Eyes," which has always been one of my favorite of the show.
Mhm.
And it's this really beautiful ballad that Joel Grey sings to a person with a monkey face on stage, and it's like super sweet and sincere. But it happens right when you find out that Natalia is Jewish, so
Mhm.
it's this whole song that you know doesn't barely says it at all to the end, but it's about where the country was calling Jews animals, and you know this was the viewpoint for a lot of them of dating Jewish people. Uh, but the whole conceit of the show of Cabaret singing these songs about what's happening, I just remember at a younger age. Obviously, I was like, "Oh, you should. Nothing's wrong with Jewish people, and you should marry who you want." But by it being so jovial and in jest, sing this song as a joke while this is happening creates this juxtaposition that this whole show keeps doing, right? Where it's about if you go in with the whimsy, it's so easy to, it would be so easy growing up for when your friend says, "Oh, that's gay," and not correct them and let
Mhm.
them know that
Yeah.
that's not a derogatory insult. It's the way of life for some people, and growing up, I would always be that kid that would say that to people. So, like, having this movie sum it up in this nice whimsical way is just one of my favorite moments of the show.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
love this song.
the hatred that is created through scapegoating, like it's just it weaves its way into every facet of society, and you don't even notice that you're doing that. Like kids saying that things are gay, and then not realizing why that's not okay to say.
Yeah. The line at the end of the song, "She wouldn't look Jewish at all," was actually, I forget, it was either cut from the Broadway musical and then put back in for the movie, or it was cut from the theatrical release
Mhm.
and then put back in for the DVD or something. But at some point it was cut because it was too controversial. And then the filmmakers insisted it was there during this cut of the film. So interesting that that was like saying that out loud was too saying that part, but
Yeah,
everyone knew what it was about. That one part out loud was almost too much.
yeah. It's like, hey,
You
just
know?
in case you missed it, this is what we're singing about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I got what it was gonna be about when I fucking saw the monkey. I was like, oh no. But it was a good song, and I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't be about that thing.
But it was, and it was a
But it
great
was.
song. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the genius of the show, right?
Hmm.
You know, what is the cost of ignorance? What does apathy cause? All
Five
these,
dollars.
yeah. Ooh, we didn't even talk about money, money. What a slapping song, right?
What a banger.
What a bop. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to
That
say about
is
Cabaret?
all I have to say about Cabaret.
Marcus, did you like the film Cabaret that our fan Ran 414 gave us this month?
I I liked it and I didn't like it. I think that part
That's
of
fair.
it being there were parts that I liked. I liked that it was progressive. I like that it kind of talked a little bit about polyamorous relationships and like not knowing who you were. I think that those are all good messages that I feel like aren't always prominent in film. But Liza Minnelli got under my fucking skin. I do not like her. She reminds me of every theater person that I didn't like in college, and I just couldn't get over that. But I don't know. It was a good time.
The fact that you liked it at all, like getting over that fact, is a testament to how good the movie is, right?
Or how good of a person
'Cause
I
that
am,
could
how
be.
I'm willing to look over the issues that I have with
Uh,
people.
I also clearly love this film. Marcus, would you suggest this film to other people?
I'm gonna say no. I don't think I would recommend this film unless you're like
You
a
wanna say why?
diehard musical person.
Yeah.
It just like there were good parts to it, but I feel like we've come so far in society that if I want you to get
That's
the
fair.
same sort of messages in a film, I could point to other movies that have
I would
since
suggest it.
honed the messages.
I get you. I think the reason I would suggest this film over some other things is the beauty of how simple the message is. Just again, what I said up top, some allegories and metaphors that are about these kinds of things are sometimes too heavy-handed and sometimes not heavy-handed enough. But I think a perfect example of a modern movie that does this same thing that this movie is doing well is Jojo Rabbit. I think that movie
Mm,
where it's not complicated what the message it's saying, but it's seamless and artistic and you love it along the way. Have you
yeah,
seen that film?
I have not.
Let me add something.
I downloaded it illegally and then my internet got taken away. So I have not seen it
Putting yourself
for
on
that
blast.
reason. I put myself that was in the past. I'm a different person.
The last question is whether you would watch the sequel or the next or keep watching it, but this is the only thing that exists. Oh, here's the question. If
Mhm.
this show were turned to Broadway, would you go see it?
I would go see it. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if I would pay Broadway prices for it, but if there was a discount or if it was free, I might go see
Sure,
it.
sure. Nobody can pay regular Broadway prices for anything, right? We're all going
That's
to
honestly, yeah,
rush
that's kind
tickets
of
or
true.
free tickets or half price tickets.
There's a lot of people who
Um,
pay a lot of money. I mean,
There's a whole
Hamilton is still
sub-story.
sold out, and all
I
the
know.
fucking tickets are like $1 million. So someone's
And
gonna go
everything's
see
shut
plays.
down.
Yeah.
There's a whole sub story in the Broadway version that isn't in the movie about the owner of the boarding house falling in love with like a Jewish fruit salesman or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know about it. I've never seen it.
Interesting. Nick,
I
would
don't.
you see it
Useless
on
fact.
Broadway if it was on
Only
Broadway?
if you got me half price tickets, baby. Because the rest
Fair
of us
enough.
couldn't afford it.
Okay.
Or the one every 2 years that my mom comes to town and we watch a Broadway show. We
Yeah.
have seen Beautiful and we have seen Waitress. I would see this movie with her. I feel like she'd like it.
Okay, Nick.
That's all of them.
It is your turn to give me a challenge for the podcast. Back to our usual proceedings. But if you want to give us a challenge and be a part of the fan challenge for February, you can go to our Patreon and join.
And if you're watching this in the future, that Patreon will still be there. So do it for the next month and the next one. But honestly, guys, all plugging aside, being able to interact with people in that kind of way, in this kind of community format, has already been like super rewarding for Marcus and I. And we would love to see you there. It's a group of cool people. You can comment on things, see what other people are doing it. We can already see the start of that. And to watch
Yeah.
that grow would just be amazing.
It's been honestly really endearing and just heartwarming to see people that we care about and just people who like the show and like what we're doing interact and be involved too. It's been nice.
Now, on to the real reason we're all here today.
Oh.
Nick's challenge. Are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, I hit the mouse and it moved the layover
Oh,
for
nice.
this
Yeah.
Twitch chat. Oops.
I was like, why'd you react so harshly to what I said? I mean, it was a good segue, but it wasn't that good.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Marcus, we've just gone down a road in the past that has filled us with existential dread and put too much of a mirror upon ourselves. So I say, let's go further back in time. So much so that we can't see ourselves at all in that mirror. Marcus, let me ask you a question. What happens when you mix
Your metaphors?
what happens when you mix Grey's Anatomy, Pride and Prejudice, and a Taylor Swift music video?
What
What
the
do you get?
fuck?
You
I
get
don't
the
know.
new Netflix hit show from Shonda Rhimes, Bridgerton.
No.
Marcus, you have to watch the first episode of this new hit show sweeping the nation, topping Netflix's view charts. Just the first
Oh
episode.
my god.
Just
That's not, you know what?
just one. I know
I,
how hard this is going to be for you. You only have to do
I
one
appreciate that. I don't want to
episode.
do it. I really don't want to watch this. But I will. And I will come back to you next week with my thoughts
On Bridgerton.
on Bridgerton. That's next week on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're live on Twitch every week.
Twitch.tv/Now Try This Catch. You can always follow us. Whoa. You can all follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere else. You can follow people at Now Try This Cast. Find the Patreon at patreon.com/Now Try This Cast. My handles are Nick Nack Nieves. His are Mega Marculus. You can find us on all those things as well. Guys, thank you for coming to this show, for this listening to us on however you're listening to us. We appreciate it. We love you. Stay safe out there. Marcus, what parting words would you like to leave?
The
our
same
people with today?
that I like to say because I find comfort in repetition. Guys, thanks for listening to the podcast, and go out there and try some things and let us know. Report back.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. How about it? It's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Well, that might go at the end of the podcast. We need something at the end of every podcast.
No, we need yeah, we do need something. What do we need? We need I need like a pre-podcast ritual. You know what I'm saying? Like something to just
okay.
like get myself hyped up.
Okay.
But I
All
don't
right,
know
let's do this right now. Okay, so like, do you want something that's like gonna get you hyped, like imagining you're in an anime hyped, or like get hyped, like loosened up, like you need
Loosened
to
up,
imagine
loosened
you're
up.
in like a Julia Roberts. Okay. All
But
right,
loosen up and like so fun can come through me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, now you're asking too much. I don't know what fun is.
Oh,
That sounds like fun.
we
Sounds like
should,
something well-adjusted people can do.
we should
Okay, I can shake too though. Okay,
tweet and stuff.
we should do twin stuff.
No, we should post
Okay,
that we're like
do twin stuff. Okay,
I can't see you
Ooh.
anymore.
Ooh. Oh, okay. I'm doing
Once-
like
once-
mirroring hands in front of the camera. Like you can follow me, but you're not there.
Once we're streaming, I can't see you anymore. That's why whenever we're I hit the stream again, I'm like, oh, there's Nick.